My name's Lance Rogers. I'm a singer-songwriter, but I also do refrigeration, heating, and air. And yeah, I started out as an electrician when I was a young kid, working for my dad. I worked for him for years. And as a kid, my dad had, he had a good record collection. My mom was always singing around the house. I always enjoyed music. I sang karaoke quite a few years, and singing in the shower and singing in the car. It wasn't until years later when I started just putting some random, songs that I would cover songs out on social media. I entered a singer-songwriter competition in Irving with the steam engine and got runner-up to Lara Helene, and I just felt this energy. And when I got that feedback that I was craving, that I wasn't wasting my time. These songs that I was writing were really affecting people, and that's when it dawned on me that this is what I need to do. But I had a lot of things happen where music kind of helped me to cope with some of the things that were going on. I think with vulnerability, you also have authenticity, and that's what we're all looking for when we hear any music. We want it to be authentic. You hear it and you know that like this person really feels that way. I'm not the first one to go through bad things in life or challenging things that make you change direction sometimes. A lot of the songs that I write are things that I feel like they've already been written in some way, on some other level, and I'm just kind of like a conduit for that. I've had my influences. Chris Knight was a major influence. I've always been intrigued by Jason Isbell, his songwriting skills, and his demeanor and his personality. And then like Robert Orkeen out of Texas, like his storytelling in his songs. All those people plus more influence my songwriting. And so when I write a song, you'll hear echoes of those things, those people, those influences. And the fact that, like, for example, I was able to open for Chris Knight, it was a dream come true. I didn't know, it was kind of out of left field in a way. But in another way, I always knew that was a potential. When you set your mind to something, when you have a vision and you stay true to that, it's going to happen. And I've seen some cool things.
Then she slipped her lipstick back into her purse and jumped off the bridge of some forgotten verse. I heard the outro from the very first words she spoke. Down to hear the punchline, never forget the joke.
Flying out to Colorado, I just got an overwhelming feeling of like, this is absolutely amazing. I had done a show with Rich Henderson in Indianapolis at a place called Duke's, a little honky tonk there. And we had a really good show. And later on, a friend of mine, Caroline from out in North Carolina, she reached out. She said, I've got tickets out to Red Rocks for Tyler Childers and John R. Miller, Margot Price. And she's like, if you want to go, you got a ticket available. I made it a random Facebook post that I was going out there. Rich Henderson's like, hey man, you're going to be out there already. I got this show that I'm planning. I want you to be on the lineup. So we worked the details out. Then when he released the lineup, I just couldn't believe it, man. It was all these people that I looked up to for so long, and they're all from this region. And to be included with them was just incredible to me. And had a really good time out in Colorado. And just the interactions with people, finally getting out to Red Rocks and just visiting that too for the Tyler show the next day, felt like this is not the end of it. And this is just the beginning. I had a dream of having an album. And I had all these songs that I'd been writing, and I had probably 30 of them that I had to whittle down to 10. My original idea was go in the studio one day and crank out about 5 or 6 songs, go in the studio the next day and finish the whole album up. But I decided to do one song and just as a test run. And it took about half a day to do one song. It took a full day to do the next song. So I started adding up the costs. It was like, this is going to be a very expensive process. So I decided to do a Kickstarter campaign. So I did the Kickstarter, and I requested a certain amount of money, donations, and it exceeded the money that I had originally asked for on the Kickstarter. So I was like, this is great. So I immediately contacted Dwayne. We set the whole thing up and went in there. But ultimately, I wanted to have almost like a timestamp of my writing from the time I started till around 2019, 2020. And I feel like that's what the album accomplished. And Dwayne was able to hear a song and be like, hey, here's how I hear it on the album. And Tom Nato, my pedal steel player, he also did some lead guitar, some acoustic. He did some bass and some keys on the album. Between the both of them in that studio, and then us three just talking about the songs and what I wanted to accomplish, what came out of that situation was I'm really pleased with, and I'm proud of it. Being in that environment was, I don't know, it does something to you. It makes you crave it again. So I'm already looking forward to doing my next album. Every sailboat needs wind. You have the water, you're sitting on the water, but you need the wind to move forward. And I feel like these people that have supported me, and I consider support hey man, I love that song. Or I think about a friend of mine that puts two hands on my shoulder and be like, don't ever stop doing this. You got to keep going. Because I know as an artist, man, you second guess yourself a lot. You're like, what am I doing? This is very unconventional. What we get taught as a young kid is like, get a 9 to 5, get a credit card, get a house payment, get a car payment, do like everybody else does. But I'm trying to simplify my life to the point where I can play gigs and play shows and sell albums. And that's something nobody teaches you when you're young. You just kind of learn that. And most people will tell you you're crazy. And hell, sometimes we are.